Sikkim's Zema army truck was part of a 3-vehicle convoy when it fell into a gorge. Prime Minister and Defence Minister condoled deaths. War of words between Chief Minister of Karnataka and Sena's Sanjay Raut over Belagavi border fight. Bommai calls Raut agent of China. Sena MP retaliates, says Karnataka government escalated dispute. In midst of reservation clamour by Lingayat sect, Vokaliga's demand inclusion of 3 subsects in OBC list in Karnataka. Infamous bikini killer of the 70s, Charles Choudhary, freed from Nepal jail 2 years before completing his 20 sentence. Serial killer deported back to France. Kerala-based journalist Siddiqui Kappan finally granted bail in a PMLA case where he was accused of illegally obtaining funds and acting against interests of the nation. Will walk out of jail after 2 full years. 3 killed, several injured after shooting in north-central Paris. French media suggest a 69-year-old suspect held for the shooting. Sam Curran becomes the most expensive player ever sold at the IPL auction. Punjab King wins his bid at 18.50 crore. Viewers, news break right on the top of 9. The central government will now extend the free food scheme by 1 full year. 80 crore people to get free food grain. Free food scheme to cost government 2 lakh crore per year. The scheme under the National Food Security Act. Well, that's the latest that is coming in. The opposition, of course, is going to turn this around and say it's a big election year right before the general elections in 2024. 10 states go to election next year, viewers. But the latest that we can break for our viewers right now is that the central government has decided to extend the free food scheme by a full 1 year, which is till December the next year on. 80 crore people stand to benefit. I want to cut across to my colleague Poulami Saha, who's getting us the latest details of all of it. Poulami, the opposition is going to cry foul, say it's a big election year. Close to 10 states go to election next year, and then, of course, the big general elections in 2024. But take us through what is the reason why the government has decided to extend the free food scheme by 1 year only?
Well, at the moment, this is the food grains which were being distributed at a subsidized rate under the National Food Security Act. So this is that scheme that we're talking about, that the government will now give. It was at a subsidized rate, in terms of food grains that were being given to the poor. Now the government is going to give that to the poor absolutely free of cost. They will have to pay no money, and the government is going to bear, the centre is going to bear the cost of it, which is going to approximately work out to be about 2 lakh crore rupees per year. 81.35 crore, which is 81 crore 35 lakh people, are going to benefit from this decision which has been taken by the Modi government, a historic decision which has been taken by the cabinet. It was a cabinet meeting which was held this evening at about 6 p.m. and the announcement came after that. So 2 very important decisions. This is, of course, a historic decision. Another important decision which was taken by the cabinet concerning OROP, one rank, one pension, where they have revised the pension rate as well. So they've revised the pension under the OROP scheme. Also, they're going to give areas as well. So revision of OROP and also OROP and pension under OROP, and of course areas which will be given applicable from July 2019, which will benefit close to about 25 lakh,
right.
Armed forces veterans. So 2 big decisions that have been taken. But yes, there will of course be some amount of politicking over this, but a historic decision taken by the centre where they're going to give food grains for 1 year absolutely free of cost to the poor.
Well, it is historic in all contexts. Poulami, stay with me. I have Shehzad Poonawala. We've had him on a different story. We're also going to cut across to our Congress spokesperson, because this is big. It's big news that we're breaking right now. Shehzad, the opposition will say it's a big election year coming in 2023. You have close to 10 states going into election, and then the mother of all elections, 2024.
If Nasir Hussain is on the panel, then he should say if his party opposes it.
All right. So Historic decision at that. We're going to cut across to Dr. Nasir Hussain in a short while. But thank you, Polumi, for joining us with that quick news break right on the top of 9. Viewers, I want to quickly shift focus right now. The winter session today of the Parliament concluded 6 days ahead of schedule, exactly 1 day before it was to conclude. With consensus, the opposition parties, however, were demanding a debate on the Chinese incursions in Arunachal Pradesh, which was rejected by the Modi government. The previous 7 sessions of the Parliament were also curtailed in a very similar fashion. Here's more.
सभा की कार्रवाई अनिश्चित काल के लिए स्थगित की जाती है। धन्यवाद।
The winter session of Parliament ends a week ahead of schedule. During the session from December 7th to 23rd, 9 bills were introduced in the Lok Sabha and 7 were passed.
वाद विवाद का उत्तर दिया।
सभी को पर्याप्त समय, पर्याप्त अवसर हर समस्या को उठाने का मिला। इस कारण से इसकी उत्पादकता भी 97% रही। ये जो सत्र भी जो जल्दी समाप्त हुआ है, उसी में बिजनेस एडवाइजरी कमेटी के सभी दलों की सहमति थी।
While the session was curtailed with consensus, Congress MP Jairam Ramesh claimed that Narendra Modi government agreed to opposition's suggestion readily to cast a cloud on the Bharat Jodo Yatra, citing COVID scare.
भारत जोड़ो भी बंद करके विदेश जाने का सोच रहे हैं। जो छुट्टी लेके विदेश जाते हैं और पार्लियामेंट एक दिन भी इधर पाँव नहीं रखते हैं, वो लोग पार्लियामेंट के बारे में बात करते हैं। एक दिन भी पार्लियामेंट में नहीं आया। जयराम रमेश भी नहीं आया, ये भी नहीं आया।
The government and opposition may spur over an adjournment, both agreed. But there is a larger question. Is the role of Parliament getting diminished? In the winter session, the Lok Sabha debated the need to promote sports in India for nearly 5 hours and the problem of the drug abuse for around 7 hours.
Serious effects of global warming.
The Rajya Sabha, on the other hand, discussed global warming for 3 hours and the debate did not conclude. The session probably would be remembered more for what was not discussed than what was discussed.
तो शायद वो अपनी पराली जलाए नहीं, उसका एक समाधान निकल सकता है।
The opposition demanded a debate on Chinese incursions in Tawang that were foiled by Indian soldiers, but there was no common ground. The session, barring a tit-for-tat between Mahua Moitra and Nirmala Sitharaman during the debate on supplementary demands for grants, saw more friendly fire than the fiery debates. The principal opposition party, the Congress, was focused on making the Bharat Jodo Yatra a success. Rahul Gandhi skipped the entire session. Now, a closer look. According to PRS legislative research, the winter session was the shortest in the current Lok Sabha. For the last 8 consecutive sessions, Parliament has adjourned ahead of schedule. 36 planned sitting days have been lost due to the early adjournment in the Lok Sabha. The 17th Lok Sabha has so far passed 130 bills, 94 of them in the same session. Fewer bills are being referred to parliamentary committees for detailed scrutiny. The number was 60% in Manmohan Singh's first term and 71% in his second term. This has come down to 27% in Narendra Modi's first term and 23% in the current Lok Sabha.
The government basically has any respect for the democratic institutions. You know how many times Prime Minister of this country comes to Parliament. He is supposed to come once in a week at least, but he doesn't turn around. But he never used to discuss bills in the Parliament. He never answered any question in the Parliament.
Is Parliament simply more productive and efficient now? Or has it become a rubber stamp for the Modi government? And is the opposition complicit in it? Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, so the big questions that we ask at the back of the news report that you just saw, are our MPs working less? Is the Parliament simply getting more productive because there's a dichotomy there? A less number of debates, but high number of bills that are passed. The Parliament a rubber stamp for the Modi government is another question, as opposition failed in its duties as well. I want to cut across to our guest this evening. I have with me Jai Prakash Narayan, founder, Lok Satta Movement, Shehzad Poonawala, Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson in the studio with me, Syed Nasir Hussain, Dr. Hussain, Congress spokesperson as well, and Rahul Srivastava, National Affairs editor. I also have Saket Gokhale, TMC spokesperson. I want to cut across to our national affairs editor. Rahul Srivastav, you've covered many seasons of the parliament. What's really interesting is if you look at the fine print, it seems that the parliament's become insanely productive of late, but the debates are at an all-time low, which prompts me to ask, is it that, a parliament now really not needed, becoming more or less a rubber stamp, understanding the brute majority that the government enjoys and the passage of bills that it has seen, without some of them without any debate, or the fact that the opposition is just not doing its job?
No, Preeti, Parliament is needed. Parliament is needed to ensure that the salaries of MPs, ministers go up, the president's, vice president's salary can be fixed, the judge's salary can be fixed, the budget can be passed, supplementary grants taken, and a lot of other things. If you see the number of sittings in terms of total sittings, the sittings have been going down. In the mid-50s, it was 150 for Lok Sabha sittings in a year and 120 odd for the Rajya Sabha. The amount of discussion which happens in Parliament has been going down. In terms of short duration discussion, in the 13th Lok Sabha, it was 59 hours. And in the 3.5 years of the 17th Lok Sabha, it is 6 hours. The question hour has been suffering. Only 31% of the starred questions are replied to. Now, what does that mean? That MPs cannot ask supplementary questions. That is the most critical element of parliamentary functioning, is the question hour. Now, you were talking about rubber stamp. Now, I will move one step ahead. Now, today, a lot of noise is being made over the curtailment of the session. But it is a fact that in the Business Advisory Committee, there were MPs from all sides of the fence who said that they wanted an early curtailment.
There was consensus, you're right.
There is Christmas and there is New Year's, and they want to be with their electors. Now, in that scenario, the fact is, I will say, to open this debate, largely to add an element, is that the issue of rubber stamp, the Parliament is becoming increasingly a rubber stamp for the government, MPs, in terms of MPs, and also the opposition. There are too many destruct buttons now that MPs don't have any say. As far as the issue is concerned, it is eventually they are tied to a party line now. The MP as an entity is largely over, and that is why Parliament is suffering, because no member of Parliament can go beyond the party line, go with an issue. Say, for example, on the issue of China. Now, on the issue of China, yes, there have been instances in the past where party MPs have stood up and said, let's not discuss it, primarily because this is an issue which will impact the diplomatic relationships and the diplomatic negotiations. But it is also a fact that Parliament has passed resolutions. Say, for example, 14th of November 1962, when Parliament got together against an aggressor. Those things are getting over largely because the MP no more has a say, be it in the government or be it in the opposition.
Rahul, stay with me. I'll just open up the debate. I'll get in our political panelists and then I'll cut across to Mr. Narayan as well. But, Shehzad Poonawala, Parliament has ended a week before with consensus, because I think all of you decided that there's Christmas, there's New Year, there's also, a threat of COVID, which we don't know if it's there right now, because most epidemiologists will say, no, it's not there. But having said that, the opposition had asked for a debate and it was denied, where what went down in Tawang, Arunachal was concerned.
May I first fact check you on your first statement?
Which
all
is?
of us demanding it. On 6th of December, when there was an all-party meeting before the commencement of Parliament, it was the Congress party which demanded the curtailing of Parliament.
I said with consensus. You can't fact check me on it.
Preeti,
but I said it's happened with consensus.
If this is a democratic debate, let me have my say. You come in whenever you
Okay, go ahead.
That's the normal way of debating.
Go ahead.
May I continue?
Sure.
Thank you. On the 6th of December, the Parliament had originally been scheduled for 7th to 29th. That was the government's view. We had legislative business. The Congress party and the opposition said on 6th of December, curtail it to 23rd, because obviously Rahul ji has a foreign vacation. Obviously, it's been announced, and Sonia ji has Christmas to attend as well. So because of that and some other reasons, others wanted to also participate. Then on 12th of December, it was discussed with Om Birla ji. I have a Hindustan Times report filed by Saubhadra Chatterjee, one of the most credible journalists. He says that Adhir Ranjan Choudhary, T.R. Balu and Trinamool's floor leader Sudeep Bandyopadhyay and BJD leader Pinaki Mishra urged the government and the speaker to end the ongoing session on 23rd of December. So this idea of collating the BJP along with the others, let's get that fact right. Then let me also tell you.
You're saying that I'm just asking you a supplementary question.
You don't need to paraphrase. I'm very articulate.
When
the audience will understand.
It's a question. I'm not paraphrasing. It's a question. It's not paraphrasing.
It's breaking my flow. The audience can see.
It's a question in that regard, which is, so you are saying that it was the opposition that wanted the session to end early and not you.
Not just me. Jairam Ramesh.
Not the government.
Not just me. Jairam Ramesh has said it in the street. Let me read to you. Parliament will adjourn Sunday night tomorrow 11:30 am. This was a demand by opposition parties long ago. Since there weren't many bills to be passed.
Why did you object? You have brute majority. Why didn't you object and say you wanted to continue with the Parliament?
Because Parliament works on consensus. It doesn't work on brute majority. Now,
therefore, I'll give you another
it's
figure.
Unfair to your audience if you don't give me a full say.
Go ahead.
Now, let me come back to the idea of what Rahul ji spoke about Parliament being a rubber stamp. Between 1952 to 1970, Parliament on an average sat for 121 days per year. Since 2000, both governments and everybody responsible, it's down to 68 per year. 33 bills during the UPA's first tenure, 2004 to 2009, were not passed by sending it to the standing committee. It was passed in less than 5 minutes. What debates were happening then? And by the way, UPA didn't have a brute majority in 2004 to 9, yet Parliament, in your words and Rahul's words, was a rubber stamp. So therefore, the idea is that, of course, parliamentary democracy should be more robust. And here's my last point. The last point that I'm trying to make is that in August 2021, in fact, in May 2021, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, the leader of opposition, had said, I want a special session on Parliament on COVID. We said, fair enough, monsoon session's coming up, let's discuss COVID. When the opportunity came to discuss COVID, they manhandled the marshals, did not allow the monsoon session to take place over an issue of Pegasus, which was in court, by the way, and did not allow any discussion on COVID. This is because they never really want to take people's issues seriously, and therefore today Rahul Gandhi and Jairam Ramesh, sorry to say, have not attended a single day in Parliament, and they are here to lecture us. As far as the China debate is concerned, let me just point to you that the Chinese debate aspect, in 2013, a short duration discussion was demanded by Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi on the situation in Depsang. By the way, the Chinese had entered into Depsang. No discussion was held. In 2014, Prakash Javadekar asked for a similar discussion. No discussion was held. On 26/11, after 26/11, P. Chidambaram laid a statement. No discussion was held. In the 210th session, 6th March 2007, Naxal attack on MP Sunil Kumar Mahato. No discussion. Only a paper was laid. This is because in 2009 to 2009 on the Sri Lanka situation, this is because there is a rule in Parliament, and that rule is Rule 186 Clause 17, which basically says that you cannot refer to any discussion that seeks to disclose information which are matters which are
that's the reason why you denied the discussion.
This has not been denied by me. It's been denied by the chair of the House and by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha based on past precedent.
You're the spokesperson of the government. Now, having said that...
No, the Speaker is not the government. The chair is not the government. The chair and the speaker represent legislature. Legislative wing is different from the executive. I'm the spokesperson of the executive. The legislative wing is different.
All right. So now you say that the reason that the session came to abruptly a close was because the opposition wanted it, right? You have one second. You say, and that is because, and you guys didn't object. Primarily is because you respect democracy. Now let me finish, right? You rattled out some figures. Let me rattle some out to you. Number of debates in Parliament under Rule 193 of the chair. Vajpayee government 59, UPA 155, UPA 2 41, Modi government 133, Modi government 2, just 6 debates till now, right? Bill passed in the same session, UPA 1 41%, UPA 2 32%, NDA 1 43%, NDA 2 a whopping 72%. Now, if you follow what the opposition wants and you follow democracy, it's a little peculiar that you will choose to have only 6 debates and yet the passage of bill is 72%. So you haven't really factored in the opposition on those accounts, but you factored in the opposition on the account of ending the session abruptly because you value democracy. I want to just bring in... I'll come back to you.
On this particular point, because people won't understand the answer later.
What is your answer? Go ahead.
This particular point
Go
where
ahead,
you said
give your
that
answer.
we have allowed, is it the government that allows debate in Parliament or the chair?
The chair. Okay, the chair. Fine.
Do we have control?
Chair,
Congress should tell us, were they controlling the chair?
So 6 debates. So 6 debates. 6 debates. I just, okay, I want to bring in the other.
The Business Advisory Committee of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha met. The Congress people never once said that no, let's extend Parliament.
I want to bring in the other guests as well, but yes. So in the second term of the government, only 6 debates, yet the passage of bills stood at 72%. But Dr. Nasir Hussain, the question also comes to the doorstep of your particular party as well and the opposition. And the question is, sir, You submitted. It was consensus. That is the reason why the parliament ended 1 week earlier. You could have pushed for a debate, continued for the next 1 week. You wanted it to end. Why?
Preeti, first of all, the BJP spokesperson on a national television channel is lying about the BAC meeting. He doesn't know what transpired in the BAC meeting on 6th of December. I was present
I did not
in the
say
meeting.
BAC took place on 6th. There was no BAC on 6th.
Okay,
It
but
was
let
all
him
party.
finish. Let him finish. He'll come. You come
He is
back.
lying about me.
Please hold on. Please hold on. Please hold on. Please hold on.
Time out. Okay.
Please hold on. Please hold on.
Yes.
He said,
I will come back to you, sir. Everyone.
Adi Ranjan Chaudhary.
Go ahead, sir. Dr. Hussain, go ahead.
Adi Ranjan Chaudhary ji was present. Yeah, Adi Ranjan Chaudhary ji and me both were representing Congress party in BAC meeting on 6th of December. None from the Congress party proposed that there should be, we should curtail the session. Couple of them from opposition parties, one or two from the ruling parties also, they proposed that because of Christmas and New Year and all these things, we can curtail the session. None from the Congress party. So what he has said is not true, number one. And yesterday there was a BAC meeting of Rajya Sabha. Again, I attended there. It was the government representative who proposed in the meeting, saying that couple of MPs approached him in the central hall to curtail the session because of Christmas and New Year and people are in festive mood and so on. And there, some of the other members of the other parties, especially belonging to alliance to the NDA and also others, also, they also said they don't have a problem. When nobody was having a problem, we kept quiet. First, I was asked. I said, please take the opinion of others. When the government has proposed it, take the opinion of others. So this is not.
But Dr. Hussain, can I ask you now a supplementary question?
This was proposed by the government.
Right, but Dr. Hussain.
Mr. Goel,
Okay.
the leader of the House, proposed it in yesterday's meeting. This
All
is
right.
what transpired there because none of you were there.
I agree, sir. None of us were there. You were there, but I want to ask you that question. Okay.
No,
Let
second.
me ask him a supplementary question. I'll come back to you.
But
I'll
give
come
me an
back to
opportunity
you.
because
I
he's
will
lied
give you an
about me.
opportunity. 1 second.
Can I finish?
Yes,
Can
sir.
I conclude?
Yes, conclude.
Can I conclude?
Conclude.
So, as far as the debates in the parliament is concerned, in this entire session on all the bills, opposition not only cooperated but also participated in all the bills. In most of the bills, wherever we thought that it should be passed by consensus, we allowed it to be passed by consensus. But the floor is of the opposition in the parliament whenever there is a session. The opposition has a right to raise issues which are not in the agenda of the government. The government comes with its agenda in the form of bills, but opposition comes with its agenda largely which reflects the people's aspiration. So and that has to be accommodated in the debate and discussion in the
Dr.
parliament.
Hussain, I will ask
that
you.
is exactly what we were asking.
Okay.
No, let me complete.
Yes,
Preeti,
sir, please finish. Yes.
You give enough time to the BJP.
No, I understand. I'm going to give you equal time.
And
I have decided I'm going to come with a stopwatch now because even
so,
10 seconds is seeming a problem now. So I'm switching it on. Go ahead, sir. Make your conclude.
I know. So Rule 267 and Rule 176 in the Rajya Sabha, more than around 1 dozen MPs used to give notices every day. This government was hiding behind the rules. They didn't have the intention to have debates on any one of the issue. Chinese, it's on the one side. Chinese incursion. They didn't have they didn't allow any discussion on unemployment, on inflation, on economic condition and crisis, on autonomous institution, on federal structure. See, different parties get notices under different rules on different issues. But none of the issue was accommodated.
But Dr. Hussain, it's all well and good. Dr. Hussain, now let me come back with the question, sir, as I put your timer off. Let me come back with the question. Sir, I will ask you a supplementary question. You said the Congress did not want the session to be curtailed before its term, which was another 6 days to go. The fact is, why did you consent to it when you wanted a debate? You said you consented because others consented. Why shouldn't we call you an ineffective and a weak opposition then? You should have pushed forth for the debate that you wanted to have in the parliament. You should have put your foot down.
Preeti, I would say that many of the opposition parties also wanted. So then we said that when the government wants it and some of the parties in the opposition also want it, we also said it's okay. But otherwise, we have said this in the parliament, we are ready to sit till late hours. See, instead of 6, we said that we'll sit till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the night. Please bring your bills. We are ready to debate, discuss, participate in the discussion and also help the government to pass those bills wherever it is necessary.
All right. So, Shehzad, Dr. Hussain says you were lying. You were lying. It was Dr. Goyal. It was Mr. Piyush Goyal, who himself mooted the point, and he was present there as he's a parliamentarian himself, and he was a part of the committee, and it was Mr. Piyush Goyal who mooted that the session will end 6 days earlier. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, on 6th of December,
and even on 6th,
he is not you reiterate, he reiterates, you reiterate. He reiterates you. What is going on? There can't be 2 in 1.
It's a question.
You're reiterating, he's reiterating you, then my time is getting wasted. Let me answer.
You're getting enough time.
Yeah, okay, let me
answer.
Go
ahead, start.
Firstly, the first line Nasir Hussain spoke was a lie. I said 6th of December, there was an all-party meeting, not a business advisory committee meeting. I've served in parliament, so I therefore know the difference between one and the other. So he's lied on my name. Secondly, on 16th of December, the Hindustan Times, courtesy Saubhadra Chatterjee, has published a story with 3 names, Mr. Bandopadhyay, Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary and Mr. Balu, saying that they were the ones who demanded on 12th of December in front of the Speaker Om Birla that look, we want the session curtailed. And apart from that, there was a BAC 2-3 days ago for Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. None of these Congress people objected and said, okay, let's continue it. And today Sonia Gandhi was sitting in the when the session gets over, everyone sits together. If they were opposing the fact that the session is getting curtailed, why didn't they once resist in any of these forums? Secondly, the second lie they are saying about China. Look, who is advising us about discussion on China? This is their past and they will again deny this. Here is a report of 2009 when China discussion was taking place. Journalists were threatened that do not report on this, otherwise we will file FIRs against you. This was the report of Hindu that has been done, and this is another stand that their government took. In 2013 when the incursion was taking place, this is an Aaj Tak report. Media bada chada kar dikha rahi hai. Tool mat dijiye Chinese घुसपैठ को. This was Manmohan Singh's statement. These people are talking to us about discussion over the China situation. Those who are threatening journalists and saying that don't file reports, otherwise we'll file FIR against you. And let me also show you the stand of Mr. Salman Khurshid, which was taken when there was incursion inside Depsang. At that time, Salman Khurshid says that this is nothing but a little bit of acne. Here is his statement. Salman Khurshid says this is nothing but acne. That party, which gave away 38,000 square kilometers, allowed Tia Pangnak, Doom Chelly, Dem Jog, 640 square kilometers to be incurred, took money from China, is sitting here and lecturing us about China. They got up in parliament and they said best strategy is not to have any infrastructure at LAC. Today we've built infrastructure which Gaurav Sawant himself has gone and seen and reported.
Sir, I'll come back to you. Sir, I will come back to you. Okay, so the fact is, Dr. Hussain, will you wait and can I bring in the TMC spokesperson and I'll come back full circle? I'd urge you to just hold on, sir. I just want to bring in our other guests.
Just give me
okay, sir, 10 seconds, sir. Go ahead, sir. 10 seconds. Go ahead, sir. Make your point.
Yes. See, the whole problem with this government is this government lives in the past. This government quotes from the past. They forget that in 1962 it was Vajpayee who asked for a debate and it was Nehru who allowed a debate, sat all through the discussion and he answered in the parliament. So let us not get. And today, what is the situation on the border? It's all there in public domain. It's all there in satellite images. Everyone, all the videos are released. Your TV, your channel showed, other TV channel showed. There's so much of development happening there. And what we are questioning is not about the army. What we are questioning is about the diplomatic failure of the government.
Okay, Dr. Hussain, you wanted a debate, you were denied a debate, yet you did not dig in your heels.
Have they raised this in any of the international forums?
But Saket
have they named and shamed them?
Okay, sir. Sir, let me now. You wanted 10 seconds. You've taken 15.
Let them make... One second. Can they make PM Cares donations public?
Okay. That's a separate debate.
Chinese companies
Saket Gokhale from the TMC.
Can they make that
there's
public?
so much, okay,
What
Dr.
are they hiding?
Sir, please show equal empathy to your co-panelists. Some of them haven't spoken yet. But Saket Gokhale, if there was so much angst on wanting a debate on what's gone down in Tawang, Arunachal, why is it that the TMC didn't dig in their heels? Most of your parliamentarians have gone back to their various constituencies already to celebrate Christmas and New Year, sir.
No one's gone back to celebrate. I mean, in fact, this parliament session's been interesting. Our parliamentarians had to miss the first 2 days because the BJP government arrested me in Gujarat. But let's not get into that. what has happened in this debate is what happens every time. There are 30 minutes of this debate since the debate started. It's the BJP pointing fingers at the Congress pointing fingers at the BJP. Let me correct the BJP spokesperson who referred to Adhir Ranjan Choudhary as the leader of opposition. No, the Lok Sabha does not have a leader of opposition. We are again going in circles about what Nehru did and what this did and what that did. Let's focus on the point at hand, which is Parliament. Rule 267 notices. Please check the number of notices that have been raised to the chair on critical issues, as the Congress spokesperson said, on issues including inflation, unemployment, in addition to China, a lot of other issues. Not a single Rule 267 debate has been allowed. Let me come to the Prime Minister's office. Because we are rattling off statistics here in a flow, between 2004 to 2014, the PMO under Dr. Manmohan Singh answered 85 questions in Parliament. How many has the PMO under Narendra Modi answered since 2014? 7 questions. The Prime Minister himself thinks of himself as being over and above the Parliament. For him, Parliament is not a priority. So the question is, what is the point of sitting in those chairs when Parliament session is called merely because the government has a bill and they want to get it passed with a brute majority, sometimes with a voice vote, sometimes without sending it to a select committee? 75% of bills introduced in the Parliament do not even have pre-consultation done on them. They're directly introduced in the Parliament. So instead of questioning the opposition on why we didn't dig our heels in, please tell me, what are the MPs supposed to do? They're just merely sitting in the chair when you're not allowing Rule 267, you're not allowing debates, you're curtailing question hour, you're not answering starred questions, you're not allowing supplementary questions to a response given by the government. What is the opposition? Is the opposition's purpose to sit there and only vote on bills? And even if that is the purpose of the opposition, you look at the farm laws that were passed with a voice vote. They suspended opposition MPs who tried to prevent and express their dissent. They suspended them, passed them with a voice vote. What happened eventually? They didn't listen to the opposition. The people of India 1 year later made them withdraw those farm laws. Very shamefully, they had an egg on their face, and the Prime Minister himself had to withdraw those laws. Had they listened to us in Parliament, the government would not have to have faced an insult at the hands of 1.3 billion people. So the question is not, what are we sitting digging? Why are we not digging in our heels? The question is, you're not allowing us to do our job in the Parliament. Are we just supposed to sit there and smile at the government and go like vision of Modi ji, wah, 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 Modi ji's leadership, Modi ji's vision? Is that what Parliament has been reduced to now?
All right. Okay. I want to bring in somebody who looks very closely at the proceedings of the Parliament. Jaya Prakash Narayan, founder Lok Satta movement, is with us. Appreciate the patience, Mr. Narayan, with all the political jugglery. But Mr. Narayan, I just want to go through some figures, and I'm sorry, we are rattling off figures here, but 35 bills were pending in Parliament. Of these, only 7 bills were listed for consideration and passing. 16 of those were listed for introduction. Before the winter session came to an end, only 9 bills were introduced and just 7 passed. Is this prima facie healthy democracy?
Preeti, the answer is self-evident. So instead of tutu may, let me go into some potential solutions which are acceptable across the aisle. We all recognize, and I think it's established today, Rahulji and as you mentioned, from 120 days in the early years of independence, today we come down to around 60 days in Parliament, and state assemblies are much worse. 21 days on average, I don't know if you're aware. In recent times, the average duration is 21 days. There are states where it has come down to even 6 days. So legislatures in general have lost their relevance, except constitutionally they're mandated to be there, and without them the government cannot survive. Without them there is no budget or law. Part of it is structural. Structural because Westminster model that we adopted basically means that once the government is drawn from the legislature, which is the only legitimate body that draws the mandate from the people. No other body in the country has a mandate from the people. The union legislature, the parliament, and the state legislature. Everybody else is a derivative body. They have no legitimacy, democratic legitimacy without a legislature. Despite that constitutional fact, the reality is once the government survives as long as it commands a majority in the House, both in the national level and the state level, the word used rubber stamp has been true for the past 50 years in India. It's a structural issue. And it's been further compounded by the way we ran our democracy. And unless we look at the reasons why we ran our democracy that way, I don't think we'll find a solution. I'll quickly mention them. But before that, when we choose to do so, our parliament does debate brilliantly. In the last 10 years, I remember 2 occasions vividly when there was really a wholesome debate with an attempt to reconcile conflicting views and bring about a consensus. One is the Lokpal Bill in 2013. The debate was excellent. The second was the GST Bill in 2017, I think. Both were exceptional in the last 10 years. But these are exceptional. That's why we remember them. I almost cannot name another debate in the last 10 years of the same quality or the wholesomeness, because Parliament is supposed to be a body to reconcile conflicting views. But what we did is we converted the Parliament into lawyer jirga in Afghanistan. Pardon my saying so. Because once the numbers are there, once there is 10th Schedule and Anti-Defection Act, well-intentioned though it might be, we made debate irrelevant in Parliament. The voting is blind, as per the party's dictates, irrespective of the merits of the law. I can cite any number of instances, you know and I know. I don't want to go into details now. We all understand, irrespective of which party is in power. And the 10th Schedule really didn't stop the defections, but actually throttled the freedom of the members. And it probably altered the history of India by the Muslim Women's Bill, which led to the grievous consequences in India by overcompensating, and the Ramaswamy impeachment case, which led to Parliament losing its authority over judiciary, accountability of judiciary. So it has had grievous consequences, and most of all in parliamentary debates and the relevance of Parliament. The second is the Speaker's institution. G.V. Maulankar, he did a remarkable job. He was as good as any speaker in the House of Commons. From 1946, the Central Legislative Assembly, later to the legislative part of the Constituent Assembly, later the interim Parliament and the Provisional Parliament, and later the first Parliament of India, 52 to 56, until he passed away. He was an exceptional speaker. But that quality we declined because we refused to isolate the speaker from the ruling party. Notionally, he or she may have resigned from the ruling party. The reality is they always are more than willing to go back to government or the treasury benches. And they always going back, oftentimes they even became chief ministers in states. We have not followed the British practice. I don't want to go into details unless there's an occasion later.
Right.
The second thing is, we completely failed in institutionalizing some mechanisms to make the government accountable. Prime Minister's questionnaire. No, we take hours and hours of meaningless, meandering debate without the cut and thrust of parliamentary forum and making it really attractive and meaningful, in depth. And finally, the committee system is practically very ineffective. States, though, it's more or less ineffective. Union level, it's better than the parliament's functioning, but committees are not genuinely empowered. You know, Woodrow Wilson said, Parliament, he talked about the US Congress. Congress in session is Congress and exhibition. Congress in committees is Congress at work. It's good that the parliamentary committees work, but they're not adequately empowered. At best, they're advisory in nature. And of course, it's all in camera for good reasons, right. I suppose. In this country, the moment media people are there, it appears the members of parliament want to really show their muscle rather than their depth of knowledge and brain, because that's what gets news coverage. And that's what the party bosses want. We can change it if we really want it. We don't seem to want it irrespective of who is in power. And it's nice to blame each other and get on with the business as usual.
Well, Mr. Narayan, I appreciate you bringing down the temperatures down in the studio a little, but I want to just, give final comments to everyone. I'll bring in Rahul Srivastava very quickly, Rahul. With what Mr. Narayan say, and I'm sure Shehzad Poonawala and Dr. Hussain can continue sparring over it. But if we do look at it, the Congress can blame the BJP till kingdom come, on no parliamentary scrutiny or debate. But if you look at it, and I'm actually looking at the figures there, the UPA stands as guilty. They have passed a large number of bills with very little debate or any scrutiny.
Preeti, the point here is not who was guilty in the past. The point is who is guilty today. Are we continuing the guilts which were created yesterday or the day before? The Congress has been politically and electorally punished for it. The BJP has an opportunity. What is the BJP making of it? Is it, I think as our parliament experts said, which I have been saying now for the last 10 years, it is not the death of Indian Parliament, it is the death of an Indian MP. As an entity, that is a worrisome aspect. Because today MPs are not chosen for their debate capability. They're chosen for their winnability. They're chosen to form a government. And that is why there is a crisis. Somebody like a Shehzad, great debater, will be a better asset than somebody who can win an election. I think if you send people like, if BJP sends people like Shehzad to parliament, perhaps we will have better debate in Parliament, and I think perhaps better bills being passed.
Well, Shehzad smiling on that note, but I want to. Yeah, okay, Shehzad, quickly closing
Rahul,
comments.
as much as I appreciate the kind gesture on your part, I don't want the BJP to send somebody who just talks glib on TV. I want them to send somebody who can actually command the mandate of the people, and therefore, as bad as they may seem to you in articulation, they actually espouse a better sense of public sentiment than I can appearing on television. And let me just correct a few facts. I understand it's a collective responsibility. 68 days Parliament sits. It's a big problem. We should have more days of sitting. You know how many days the West Bengal Assembly has sat from 2012 to 21? 34 days a year. 34 days a year. And Punjab, which was under Nasir Hussain's government for a very long time, 15 days a year. 15
I'll come
days
to you,
the
Mr. Gokhale. I'll come to you. I'm taking closing comments. I will come
there's
to you.
always
Make
a
your
hazard.
point.
Delhi 16 days a year. Are assemblies not legislative bodies? You know, there's always a hazard in relying upon people whose careers have been based upon quoting fake news, RTIs, and mudslinging against people, and have been called out upon by the high courts of this country. So I think what we need to do is we need to get our own act in place. We preach about democracy and democratic debate, and on the day we win an election, we have a post-poll violence that's unleashed, that the high court has to say this is not rule of law, but this is law of the ruler. And they come and sermonize when they have 34 sittings a year in the West Bengal Assembly. This is the irony.
All right, closing comments. Nasir Hussain, Dr. Hussain, you know, if you look at the figures as abysmal as the current incumbent government, sir, when you look at your own UPA rule.
See, it is always the responsibility of the government to run the Parliament. We have been saying this in the Parliament time and again. This government doesn't want any debate and discussions in the Parliament. That is the reason why they don't want to accept any of the notices and the issues raised by the opposition. Neither they want to have enough time where we can have lengthy sessions, where we can have long sittings till late in the evening or in the night. That's what we have been. That's what we have committed time and again. But the government is not ready for any kind of discussion in the Parliament. They want us to come there, accept the agenda that has been proposed by the government, just pass it in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then say, we have our agenda, you cannot raise your agenda. I think it is both the agenda of the government and the agenda of the opposition that needs to be debated and discussion. Issues that concerning the people of the country.
Saket Gokhale, I know you wanted to come in for a rebuttal. Closing comments.
The government itself needs to be resolved.
Right.
It's quite interesting, your National Affairs editor recommending someone for the Parliament, but I think the problem today is our Parliament also, and the ruling party is filled with opportunists who made their careers 8 years ago abusing Prime Minister Modi and now pontificate in front of him.
We remember your career started by praising Rahul Gandhi, and you're down to rejecting him. But he started his career and his economic career by praising Rahul Gandhi, and today is down to saying Rahul Gandhi is a non-entity. So, you know, I don't need a lecture and sermonizing from the likes of Saket Gokhale.
Time out. Saket Gokhale, 20 seconds, make your point.
Mr. Choudhary, he said something, you did not interrupt him, then he made a personal attack.
He's sitting in the studio with me. I wish I could silence either of you when I could, but it's difficult. Make your points.
We barely get a chance to speak at all. Anyway, regardless.
Go ahead, make your point.
Back to the topic at hand. Let's have an educated debate, which probably that person's not capable of. But the problem is, you say on one side, that it's the chair that makes the decision. Why in the last 7 years has the Parliament not had a deputy speaker? There's no deputy speaker of the Lok Sabha. Why has the deputy speaker not been appointed? That is something that the government has to do, the House has to do, the leader of the House has to do. We are functioning in a Parliament where there is no deputy speaker. That's a basic parliamentary requirement. The government decides to run roughshod, does not allow questions from the Parliament, from the opposition, does not allow them to speak. And yes, the quality of debate. I mean, our news channels are a reflection, of what happens in our Parliament. If the quality of debate is that anybody gets up and starts making personal attacks, if this is how they work in a television studio, imagine how they must be working in the Parliament.
May I, with the permission of all you 5 gentlemen, bow out of this debate? Appreciate it. Thank you, all of you, especially Mr. Narayan, very, very patient. He's heard everything through. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. And I would reckon for somebody who's a new student of politics and parliamentary debate, it's very, very difficult to actually catch a juicy, good debate that you want to immerse yourself in, which is taking place in Parliament. All that aside, I want to dip into the latest news break that's just coming in. All right, the latest news is that the Central Bureau of Investigation has arrested the former Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of ICICI Bank, Chandra Kochar, and her husband, Deepak Kochar. Allegations are that when Chanda Kochar was at the helm of affairs at the ICICI Bank, she cleared a loan for Videocon group of companies as quid pro quo. Chanda's husband, Deepak Kochar, company New Renewable, received investment from Videocon. The loan to Videocon turned into a non-performing asset and later was called bank fraud. Cutting across to Munish Pandey for the latest information. Munish, over to you.
Well, Preeti, what we have been given to understand is that the Central Bureau of Investigation has arrested the former ICICI Bank chief Chanda Kochar and husband Deepak Kochar in connection with a case pertaining to a loan of rupees 3,250 crore rupees which was given to Videocon Group. Now, this loan was given in year 2012, but what the agency has lost the FIR and the allegations are that in exchange of giving that loan, a loan of 64 crore rupees was given by the company of Venugopal Dut to Deepak Kochar's company, in which the agency claims that it was a quid pro quo. Earlier also, they were questioned for multiple times, but now we have been given to understand is that both were called for questioning, and from Delhi, both have been arrested. Tomorrow, they will be produced before the court. Earlier also, the Enforcement Directorate had arrested Deepak Kochar in connection with this case. Now, it seems that Chanda Kochar has landed in trouble because the CBI claims that during all these years, when the matter was being investigated, they have gathered many evidence in form of statements and material evidence based on which they decided to arrest both of them.
Appreciate you joining us, Munish, for that quick update. But that's big news, viewers. Chanda Kochar and her husband have now been arrested. Chanda Kochar is the ex-ICICI Bank CEO. All right, with that, just moving on in the bulletin after Amit Malviya, who is the IT head of the Bharatiya Janata Party, claimed that a former union minister was caught on video tying Rahul Gandhi's shoelace in the Bharat Jodo Yatra while it was passing through Rajasthan. Twitter has flagged his tweet as manipulated media. The former minister, Jitendra Singh Alwar, also rubbished Malviya's claim, calling them a blatant lie, and revealed that he was tying his own shoelace. The Congress consecutively also released various videos which showed the former minister tying his shoelace, and now Twitter has actually flagged the IT cell chief's tweet as manipulated media. Here's more.
Big embarrassment for the BJP. Twitter has red flagged a post by the party's IT cell head Amit Malviya as manipulated media, saying the video in the tweet is presented out of context. In his tweet, Malviya claimed the video shows former minister Jitendra Singh tying Rahul Gandhi's shoelace during the Bharat Jodo Yatra. The Congress was up in arms soon after the BJP leader posted the message. Jitendra Singh himself took to Twitter, calling the BJP's IT cell chief's claim a complete lie and defamatory. The former minister said he was tying his own shoelaces and demanded an apology from Malviya.
ये एक और उदाहरण है कि भाजपा किस तरह से बिल्कुल विचलित हो चुकी है, कि किस तरह से वो बिल्कुल डिप्रेशन में आ गई है भारत जोड़ो यात्रा की वजह से। और मैंने मालवीय साहब को कहा है कि मैं उनके ऊपर डेफेमेशन केस करूंगा, तुरंत इसको पोस्ट को हटाना चाहिए, माफी राहुल गांधी जी से मांगनी चाहिए।
Several Congress leaders echoed the demand, tweeting photos of Rahul Gandhi's shoes with lace that does not need tying.
BJP's Amit Malviya's designation should be renamed as head of BJP's false propaganda cell. Shame on him. Time and again, not once or twice, every time he has been spreading his fake factory to the entire country and misleading the people of this nation. Shame on him. He should resign and step down, or at least apologize for what you have done today.
Jitendra Singh has threatened to sue Amit Malviya unless he apologizes and retracts the tweet. Now, will he act on his threat? Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, till now, viewers, that tweet, which was flagged as manipulated media, is still not down from the timeline of BJP's IT cell head, Amit Malviya. With that, a quick break to stay with us. On the other side is our Good News Today story, and it comes from the city of joy, Kolkata.
भैया जी हमला। भैया जी 10 गोलियां ले ले।
गोलियां नहीं रज्जा, गोली।
पर बाहर तो 10 लोग हैं।
10 हो या पूरी बस, अब तो बस 1 है तो डन है। इसको कोई वॉच कराओ। जब वॉचो में मिले ढेर सारे OTT ऐप्स एक ही प्लान में तो हर कोई बोलेगा वॉचो 1 है तो डन है।
वॉचो प्लान स्टार्टिंग एट जस्ट 42 रुपीज पर मंथ। आज ही सब्सक्राइब करें और पाएं सिलेक्ट प्लान्स पर 1 महीना कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री।
Saif Ali Khan and Amrita Singh's son Ibrahim Ali Khan is all set to debut as an actor after assisting Karan Johar on his next Rocky aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani. He has reportedly been roped in to play an important role in the Hindi remake of Hridyam. The making rights of the same have been backed by Karan Johar.
അത്രയ്ക്ക് ഇഷ്ടമാണ് എനിക്ക് അവനെ. ചേച്ചി അവൻ മുത്താണ്.
Meanwhile, visuals of Ibrahim partying, going out with friends, or just making red carpet appearances keep surfacing online. Now, Amir Khan and Reena Datta's son Junaid is also among those who will be fulfilling his dreams of becoming an actor with his debut film Maharaja. It is reported that he will be romancing Bunty or Bubbly 2 fame actor Sharvari Wagh in this Siddharth P. Malhotra's film. So it surely will be an interesting year for these kids. Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
With that, viewers, it's a wrap on news today. This evening, have a fabulous weekend ahead. As Christmas approaches nearer, visuals of celebrations from across the country have flooded the social media. But Kolkata's festive mood stands apart. Kolkata's Alpona, a traditional form of Bengali artwork, not only sets the tone for grand Christmas occasions, but also showcases India's communal harmony by bringing different communities together. Take a look at this. With that, goodbye. Have a great weekend and a very Merry Christmas. We'll see you Monday.
Kolkata is decked up for Christmas celebrations. Alpona, a traditional form of Bengali artwork, has brought together Muslims and Hindus to take part in the festivities. This artwork fuses motifs of all religions. The message of harmony is loud and clear in this Catholic parish.
Mother Pataria approached me that, can we work something out together? I approached the parish priest, and so then he thought it was a very welcome idea, to bring these cultures together. I think it is time to bring inclusivity and try to find common places where we can agree on.
These paintings were done by Alpona artists Ratnaboli Ghosh, Lipika Mukherjee, along with Prashun Sen.
It was Mudar Patharia. He was the inspiration. He was everything behind this. He said, and Prashanto and I both agree with that, is that Alpona has no caste, creed, religion, nothing. It's just an expression of joy, of decorating a place to tell people that there is something happy happening here.
At a time when fights over religion have become a common sight, the City of Joy's unified spirit is celebrating inclusivity.
This is the first time, and that too in Calcutta, that a church is being painted with Alpona, which is something that is very much predominantly associated with pujas over here in Bengal. And The reason why we are talking about it is it symbolizes unity and brotherhood. It's been conceived by a Muslim man, painted by Hindu artists, and is happening in a church for the 25th of December. The only message that this gives out is that religion and festivities are for everyone if they want to share it and be happy about it. With camera person Orko, this is Suryagni Roy for India Today, Kolkata.
I am linking this to COVID is primarily on account of fast changing sort of sentiment over the last 2-3 days this week with respect to COVID and its impact on the Indian economy, Indian business, which has recovered to a large extent from the earlier lockdowns. What's your own sense?
My sense at this point in time is that we should not panic. There is a need to be vigilant, which is what is happening in the sense that the government is on top of things. The health secretary has written to the states and other stakeholders to increase the level of alertness and do genome sequencing so that we are able to pick up any new strains if that were to happen. But you know, the information coming out of China in the last couple of days, I mean, this is a society where news flow is tightly controlled. So you don't know whether something is either being underreported or what is escaping through is hyperbole or reality. It's very hard to tell. And I mean, things will become clearer in the next, I would say, 5-7 days or so. I believe the World Health Organization even today has called upon China to share information about what is happening. And until we have more authentic information, I don't think we should get carried away. And there is certainly no need to panic. From a Indian perspective, the population is by and large fully vaccinated with 2 doses, and a large number have got the 3rd precautionary dose as well. So we are about as well prepared as we can be. And from a business perspective, again, cyclical sectors are, have deleveraged their balance sheets to a large extent. I mean, you have a situation where there is a large reserve of foreign exchange, so that we are, which is being used judiciously, and that's about what we can do.
Scroll. Is that what you do all day? A study says that excessive use of social media can develop depression in young adults. The study was published in the Journal of Affective Disorders Reports. It says that young adults who use social media more are likely to develop depression within 6 months, and this is regardless of their personality type. Previous research has linked depression with many other factors, including social media. This study addresses the important research questions, finding strong and linear associations of depression across all personality traits. In 2018, the study took a sample of more than 1,000 young adults from America aging between 18 and 30. Depression was measured using the Patient Health Questionnaire. Social media was measured by asking participants how much daily time was spent using popular social media platforms, and personality was measured using the Big 5 inventory. This assessed openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. The authors suggest that social comparison can enhance negative feelings in one. This could explain how depression increases with prolonged use of social media. Another reason could be indulging in negative content. Finally, engaging more on social media reduces opportunities for in-person or social interactions. The study was published by Renee Merrill. She said findings from the study are important during a time of technology expansion and integration. Connecting to people virtually may increase the risk of miscommunication or misperception. that leads to relationship difficulties and potential risk for developing mental health problems.
Co-powered by SABIC, chemistry that matters. Co-powered by ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel India. LIC, हर पल आपके साथ. Raymond Techno, unrestrict yourself. Tata Punch, vibes with you.
Light tanks for the army at the line of actual control. Futuristic infantry combat vehicles for the India-Tibet border. Mounted gun systems. New missile systems for the Navy and the Air Force. ₹84,000 crore projects cleared. Big boost for Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense. Make in India weapons to defend India. That's our top focus on India First. Hello and welcome. You're watching India First. I'm Gaurav Sawant. Made in India light tanks and armored fighting vehicles for the army in Ladakh. High endurance autonomous vehicles for the Navy and long-range missiles and bombs for the Indian Air Force are among the 24 capital acquisitions cleared by the Narendra Modi government to deter expansionist forces in the region. Now, of the 24 items, 24 capital acquisitions cleared, 21 are to be made in India, worth over 82,000 crore rupees. The light tanks are aptly named Project Zorawar after the legendary Dogra General Zorawar Singh. As India-China standoff continues for over 2.5 years, the Ministry of Defence has approved the acquisition of light tanks and futuristic infantry combat vehicles for soldiers at the India-Tibet line of actual control in Ladakh. The need for advanced light tanks, aptly named Project Zorawar, was felt in response to Chinese actions along the LAC. The T-72 tanks of the Armoured Corps are considered much heavier than the 25-ton light tanks under Project Zorawar. General Zorawar Singh was a brave Dogra general under Maharaja Gulab Singh and had successfully carried out military campaigns both in Gilgit-Baltistan, Ladakh and Tibet.
भारत को आत्मनिर्भर भारत हम रक्षा के क्षेत्र में बनाना चाहते हैं, उद्देश्य यही है। और भारत एक इंपोर्टिंग कंट्री के रूप में पूरी इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी में रिकॉग्नाइज न किया जाए, बल्कि हम एक्सपोर्टिंग कंट्री के रूप में हम भारत को रिकॉग्निशन एक मिले, ये हमारी कोशिश है।
The army is also looking at futuristic drone-integrated infantry combat vehicles with night fighting gear and anti-drone weapons. The Indian Air Force has got clearance for new missile systems and long-range guided bombs along with advanced surveillance systems.
ज्यादा से ज्यादा रक्षा उपकरण भारत में ही बनाएंगे, भारतीय कंपनियों से ही खरीदेंगे, ये बजट में प्रावधान किया है। बाहर से लाने के रास्तों बंद करने की दिशा में हम कदम बढ़ाए। हमारी सेनाओं की जरूरत पूरी होने का